Alright, so this is nutrition basics, and nutrition is 80% of getting your results. You might have heard me say that before. It is a key component. You might know someone who has been or you might be someone who has been working out for years, and you're working your butt off in the gym and you're not seeing the results that you want to see, and it's frustrating, and it can be so discouraging if you're kicking butt in the gym and you're giving it all you got, but you're not getting the results that you want. It most likely comes down to nutrition. There are lots of things going on, that can definitely hinder your weight loss. If you've got any sickness or anything like that, your hormones can be off. There's lots of different things like that. But the one thing that you can do, the things that you can control, your diet, your exercise, what you're doing, how, your mindset is, all that kind of stuff definitely plays a part in it. So with that said, we're going to talk about the nutrition basics. Now, the real basics, you guys all have your little sheet here. If anyone didn't get one, just let me know. You'll have your little sheet here. This is our outline. So for nutrition, you've got 3 basic nutrients that you want to include in each meal. You've got your proteins, your carbs, and your healthy fats. Now, despite the hearsay, I'm sure everyone's heard all the hype about the carbs being awful, and you've got to avoid all the carbs, and cut out all the carbs, cut out the protein. There's so many different fad diets. But despite all that, you need all 3 basic nutrients in your diet. They are crucial to your diet and what you're doing. If you cut out a whole food group, then you're going to be lacking some nutrients that you're getting from that food group. Hello, ladies. Come on in. Here's some papers. She's got you on, actually. Here's for you, Jamie. Thank you. And then if anyone else can leave that there. But carbs are not your enemy. Carbs are not your enemy, and neither is fat. Carbs are good for fuel. Carbs give you that fuel for your workouts and everything. I hear a lot of people, if they're cutting back carbs, the Atkins diet is a very popular diet, and you're cutting out all carbs, and then people are trying to work out and you have no carbs and you have no fuel, and you feel like you just kind of zonk out so much faster, so much easier. I remember when I was doing my shows, the last couple of weeks get tough because you have to cut out all your carbs, and my workouts completely changed because when I had no carbs, I was just lethargic, and I was just, I didn't feel very well. I just kind of felt heavy, and you don't really feel good. You don't necessarily feel sick, but you don't feel right, and you don't have that energy. So carbs give you the energy, but it's about knowing when to eat those carbs and what carbs to eat during the day that make the difference. So fats are good too. In order to burn fat, you must eat fat. You must eat the healthy fats though. So not necessarily going and getting, fried chicken, which tastes good and it's got fat in it, but it doesn't have the good fats. It's got the saturated fats. So there's a whole list of healthy foods and healthy fats that you can be eating, like avocados and almonds and olive oil. I mean, there's lots to go around. But one of the main things that you want to do when trying to get your nutrition down, trying to start, living a healthy lifestyle, getting the results you want, is setting your metabolism. You've probably heard that you can't reset your metabolism, you can't change your metabolism, and it is what it is. But the truth be told with your metabolism is that it can be changed. It can be reset, so to speak, by the way that you're eating, the foods that you're eating, when you're eating, what you're eating. Those are all big factors, and then also what you're doing exercise-wise. So all those factors play a part into the speed of your metabolism and how your body metabolizes the food, what it does with the food. So if you look there, you'll see it says eat 6 times a day. Now, if you look at your meals now, I used to eat 1 or 2 meals a day, and that was perfect for me. I wasn't hungry anymore, and that's one of the biggest things that I hear people say is that I'm not hungry to eat 6 times a day. I'm not hungry to eat first thing in the morning, and that's I believe you that you're not hungry, but that's because that your metabolism is so slow that when you wake up, it takes your body a while to get going because it's not used to eating so frequently. So when you're eating 6 times a day, don't look at your 2 meals a day that you're eating now that are much bigger. If you eat that 6 times a day, then we might have some issues. But if we want to have those smaller meals 6 times a day. So eating pretty much every 3 hours is your goal. You don't want to go more than 4 hours without eating, because then your body kind of slows down the digestion process. I always tell people, think of your body like a bike, like one of those kind of bikes, one of those exercise bikes, where the first couple steps, it's hard to get going, and then once you get the momentum going, then it's going. So think of your body as that. You put the food in your body, and at first it's like, all right, we got food here, we're breaking it down. So we're starting to work, break it down. And then if you don't eat for a while, say you wait 6 hours to eat, your body's going to slow down and say, okay, we're not getting any more fuel, but we got to still work because you're still moving, you're still being active during the day. So it's going to slow down, slow. So then you put more food in your body 6 hours later, and it's like, all right, we got to start working again. So it's got to pick up that pace again. Whereas if you're eating every 3 hours, you put that food in your body's like, all right, let's kick it into high gear, let's start working. And then it starts running out of that fuel, and you feed it again every 3 hours, and your body's like, all right, we're still kicking into high gear. So just think of that as your metabolism. So your metabolism is going.
So if you have a calorie goal that you've been given, do you divide that by 6 and try to stay within that calorie range every 3 hours?
Yep. Now, with that, your meals they don't have to be completely standard to only those 6 meals a day. It depends on, when you're most active and what your day is like, what your schedule is like. But generally speaking, yes, that's what you're going to do. So say you're eating 1,400 calories a day. You're going to say, all right, well, I'm eating every 3 hours, so I'm going to wake up at 6:30, or I'm going to wake up at 6 o'clock. I'm going to eat my first meal at 6:30. Every 3 hours from that point on, you're eating, keeping your metabolism going the whole day. So, yes.
If you work crazy hours, when is the last time you shouldn't eat?
I knew that question was going to come up. That question always comes up because everyone always has a cutoff time. I hear people say, oh, I never eat past 6 o'clock. If you go to bed at 7, 8 o'clock, that's fine. That's okay. But if you're like the normal people these days where, I say, oh, I'd like to be in bed by 9 or 10, and I go to bed at 12, 1, 2, 3, whatever time I get to bed. If I stop eating at 6 o'clock, I'm going more than 6 hours without eating, so that's not going to be good. So you've got to look at your lifestyle, look at your schedule, and decide your meals based off of that. So if you're waking up at 7 in the morning, basically I just tell people to eat every 3 hours. That should be your goal, to keep your metabolism going. So if you're working, the night shift or whatever, and you're up during those hours, your body, every time you're moving, every time you're awake, your body is using energy, which is calories. So just eating the smart choices at those times. So when you're most active during the day, you're going to need the most energy. So I always tell people to front load your calories. So, first thing in the morning, you want to have the energy to put you through that day. But you also want to look at, if you're working out, when are you working out? If you're working out first thing in the morning, my favorite thing to eat in the morning is oatmeal, and I eat egg whites. So I get the good complex carbs, so that's going to give me that energy. And then I have egg whites, so it includes protein. Because if you look here, you want to include all 3 nutrients into each of your meals. So you've got the protein, you've got the carbs in each meal, and you've even got some healthy fats in that oatmeal. You can throw in some peanut butter if you want and make it, cinnamon peanut butter oatmeal. You can be creative. And we can talk more about recipes and all that kind of stuff later. There's a ton to cover, so we're going to stick with the basics tonight. Do you have a question?
Yeah, the small nutritious meals, can they just be like a snack? Like if you're, instead of a small meal, could it be like a cheese stick or some almonds?
Yeah, well, you want to have some balanced meals, I should say. So when I say meals, I just call all my food meals. Like I eat 6 times a day, and those are my meals. You don't necessarily have to sit down and have, salmon and rice, and yeah, you can have, one of my meals might be an apple with peanut butter, and that might be a meal. I might have some cottage cheese with some almonds in it. So I used to hate cottage cheese. I'll say that. Is that what you're talking about, the cottage cheese?
I can't even look at it.
Just a couple of months ago, about 2 months ago, I put cottage cheese in my mouth, and I literally was gagging. Like I didn't think it was going to stay down, and I was like, I'm determined to like this. I don't know why. I just wanted to like it because it had, it's a great protein source, and I was like, I'm going to like this stuff. So I tried it again, same reflex, didn't work out so well, and then I put some cinnamon in there and some stevia, and I ate it, and now I love it. Like, I crave it all the time, and I'm like, what in the world? Like, I never would have thought in a million years I'd like cottage cheese, so 3rd time's the charm.
Is it better to eat, like, before you exercise, or wait until after you exercise?
you want to have food in your, you want to have enough fuel in your body to get you through that workout. Everyone's body's different. I say, eat an hour before you work out, and then you have a 45-minute window after you're done working out where you want to get that food in your system. So you want to get that protein and carbs in your system, because when you're working out, when you're weightlifting, basically you're not building up muscle when you're in the gym. We all go to the gym to get more muscle, right? But when you're in the gym, you're actually breaking down muscle. You're just tearing all those little microscopic tears in your muscle. That's what you're doing when you're working out. So how you fuel your body before and after your workout, that's where the results come. That's where you're going to increase that lean muscle mass. And when you increase that lean muscle mass, don't think about, getting big. Like, don't look at those magazines. That's not what I mean by increasing lean muscle mass. Just putting that muscle on your body will help you in turn burn more calories. So 1 pound of lean muscle mass is going to burn 35 to 50 calories just having that. So if you put on 5 pounds of muscle mass just breathing every day, you're burning 250 more calories just having it there. So who doesn't want that? So your metabolism's more, it's revved up by increasing your muscle mass, and by working out you get that afterburn effect. So you're going to be burning all day.
1 pound of muscle burns how many? What?
35 to 50 calories at your body at rest will burn by having 1 pound of lean muscle mass. So the more muscle you put on, the faster your metabolism is going to be, and the more calories you're going to be burning throughout the day just at rest. So that's always a plus. Do you have a question?
So what did you say to eat after the workout?
So after your workout, you want to have protein. You want to have a healthy carb, because the protein and the carb, the protein helps to repair the muscles that you've broken down when you're working out. And the carbs go right to your muscles. It's called glycogen, that stored energy is where the carbs, what your carbs provide the energy for your body. So it gives you that stored energy, which is glycogen. So when you're working out, you're basically just depleting your muscles of that. You're using up all your energy. So once you use up all your energy, your muscles are just kind of start breaking into the fat stores, which is why it's good to do cardio post-workout, if any of you guys saw that on Facebook, because then it'll kind of break into the fat stores. But then you want to have protein and carbs within 45 minutes, within an hour of working out, just to replenish your body, to repair your body, start that process of the recovery and repairing the muscles and building that lean muscle. So, I mean, there's a lot of depth that we could get into with that, a lot of scientific kind of stuff with that too. So generally speaking, we want to eat 6 times a day. We want to have small meals. They don't have to necessarily be the meals. They can be the snacks. Just aiming for that balance. Make sure you're getting the healthy fats. Make sure you're getting the healthy carbs. Make sure you're getting the healthy proteins in your meals. You want to help your body work for you, not against you. So the timing of your meals is important when you're eating what. Drinking water is very underrated. So I've listed a lot of little facts here about water, and there's a million more that we could go on and on about, but your body is 61.8% water. Your brain is 70% water, so without water, we're kind of walking around all spacey and not too smart, so we need water to survive. Low consumption of water allows more fat to be deposited instead of being metabolized into energy. So basically, if we don't drink water, our bodies are going to store fat more easily than using God bless you, by using the nutrients that we're getting in. Water helps flush the kidneys of toxins. They can't function properly without adequate water, which in turn causes liver dysfunction, which basically just messes up the whole fat burning process. So we want to include lots of water in our diet so that our bodies can be burning fat. As little as a 2% drop in your body's water supply can trigger short-term memory loss and fatigue. So I feel like I'm dehydrated a lot of the time. So I think I am right now. Water aids in the digestion, absorption, and metabolism of food because our body's enzymes work better in diluted substances or diluted solutions. Increased water equals increased lean muscle mass, what we were just talking about. So we want to increase our lean muscle mass, so you want to make sure you're drinking water. Dehydration actually causes water retention and bloating, so just make sure you stay hydrated. It doesn't make sense a lot of times when you think about it, in our minds anyway. If you're dehydrated, you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to be holding water, but it actually causes you to hold water and retain that water and have that bloated look because you're dehydrated. So drink water and you won't retain water like that. One important thing that I like to start people off with is reading food labels. I think that's one of the most important things when you're trying to eat healthy. You're going to hear everywhere throughout the media, throughout, you know, from advertisements and commercials and this and that and this and that. Eat this is healthy. Eat this is healthy. But you've got to know what to look for to know what really is healthy, so to speak. So what to look for on food labels. The first thing you're going to see is serving size and servings per container. I posted a picture not too long ago about my sister's lasagna packet. It said serving size, one package, and then it says servings per container, 2.5. It was one package, so you know, you would naturally think that that whole package would be that amount, but now you've got to times that whole package by 2.5 because the serving size is 2.5. So those serving sizes are going to get you. And I mean, a lot of times, realistically, what we eat is completely different from the actual serving size on the wrapper or on the, you know, box or whatever it is. So look for those serving sizes and really try to stick to those serving sizes. You know, a cup, typically speaking, is about the size of your fist there. You know, a tablespoon is about the size of your thumb. A portion of meat is typically the size of the palm of your hand. So you look at that, and then you look at what we're really eating and what you get in restaurants. If you ever order pasta in a restaurant, they will load you up. So you probably got 4 or 5 servings in some of those Italian restaurants because Italians like to eat. So really watch your portions.
No.
I'm Italian. I would eat those. Oh man, spaghetti was my favorite food too. So then you're going to see the caloric content. We're trained to look at calories and say, okay, this thing's got 200 calories, which is good to look at the calories, but where are your calories coming from? That's even more important than what, you know, what the calorie content is or how many calories are there. So if it's 100 calories, where are your calories coming from? Are they coming from fats, proteins, carbs, sugars? Sugars count as carbs. So you want to know, you know, looking at those food labels, you want to look at the fat content. If your, you know, meat or whatever it is that you're eating, if, you know, if it's a bar, and say it's 19 grams of fat, that's a little high in fat. And then you look down under that, the saturated fat. If you get those protein bars especially, people think, oh, I'm eating healthy, I'm eating a protein bar. But I can't tell you how many protein bars are loaded with fat and sugar. So you'll look at it, it'll say 19 grams of fat. Then you look under it, it says 11 grams of saturated fat. Saturated fats are bad. We don't want to eat the saturated fats. Clogs the arteries, and we just don't want the saturated fats.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's the deal with sodium? Like, should you, like, it's sometimes, like, really high. Like,
Yeah.
really high.
Sodium is hidden in pretty much everything. If you get boxed foods, prepackaged foods, they're typically going to be much higher in sodium. For diabetics and people over 50, they suggest that you stay 1,500 or under. And I think all of us should target, you know, 1,500 milligrams or under with sodium. But if
For the
you,
day.
yeah, and if you look at, you know, if you're tracking your food in MyFitnessPal, it tracks your sodium too. You'll notice that you probably double that every day with the sodium content because sodium is hidden in everything.
Well, is that going to affect weight loss, or that just has, like, blood pressure? Like,
I mean, it affects your health. It affects your blood pressure. It affects how you know, retaining water and everything. So it's going to affect your weight as well. But healthfully speaking, if you're not, you know, if you don't have problems with it necessarily, it's not as critical as if you do. But I think overall, it definitely has a big factor in your health, and you want to watch your sodium. Otherwise, you're going to develop those issues that you don't want to have, you know. So really target to stay low on the sodium. I use Mrs. Dash salt-free seasonings. Those things taste amazing, and they're salt-free. They're really good. So even if you're not necessarily putting salt on to your food, you're still going to have sodium.
Yeah.
Chicken naturally has sodium. Eggs naturally have sodium, but they're not loaded. So just don't, you know, top all your food with the sodium. So start paying attention. You know, a lot of products nowadays are coming out with low sodium products and low sodium versions. And even with that, you're going to look on these food labels, and we're getting to that in just a second about the ingredients, but you're going to see all these words, these healthy words on products like, oh, you know, this is low in this and reduced fat, and what that means is that it's reduced by 25%. So if it's a high fat, a high sugar, a high calorie content food, reducing it by 25% is good, but still, it still has a lot to it. So really looking at those nutrient labels and looking at, if it's a high carb food, where are your carbs coming from? Look at the sugar content as well. So, say oatmeal has 28 grams of fat or grams of carbs, but then you look at the sugar content, and if you're getting the plain oatmeal, there's, no sugar to it, but if you're getting some of these other flavored oatmeals, there might be, 20 grams of sugar. So looking at, the flavored yogurt's good for you, but if you get these flavored yogurts, a lot of them are loaded with sugar. Some of them have, 36 grams of sugar in it, I saw the other day, which is a lot of sugar just for one little cup of yogurt. So my trick of the trade, I get plain yogurt and I flavor it myself, either with my own cut up fruit or my favorite cinnamon and stevia. But however flavor you like, just be creative with your foods, because you've got to like what you like. Stevia is an alternative, a sugar alternative basically, but it's all natural. It's from the plant. So you hear all these different sugar, sweeteners and alternatives.
Is it better than Splenda?
Yes.
Well, it doesn't have
Splenda?
aspartame in it, right? That's
Yeah.
like the main thing.
Aspartame you don't want to. Right, because Splenda, they say, it's Splenda dry, it's from sugar, so it's got to be good for you. But if it's from sugar, but it's not sugar, if you think about it, it's got to be chemically processed. So exactly, so it's not going to break down in your body, right? Because when you put that stuff in your body recognizes carbs, proteins, fats, and when you're putting that stuff in your body, it's wondering what the heck you just put in there, and it's trying to figure out how to break it down, and it doesn't really know what to do with it. So
Is stevia like trivia?
Truvia is a derivative of stevia.
Can you spell that?
Stevia. I actually have.
It's in a yellow and green box. I know that, and there's a plant on it.
Can you get it exposures?
Yeah.
You can't use a lot of it though.
I'm diabetic, so.
You have to be very much, I mean, the taste of it makes you sweet very fast.
Yeah.
You can't use a lot.
Right. And here's one brand of stevia, new stevia. I use a kind stevia in the raw. My favorite is the kind from Trader Joe's. It's a little bottle about that big. That, it looks really small. It's got a tiny scooper, and you're like, oh, I don't want to waste my money on that. But that little bottle is $10, and it has 622 servings. Because with that, all you really need is that little scoop. It sweetens it, and it is the best tasting sweetener that I have found.
They actually have a lemonade there made with stevia.
Do they?
Yeah, and it does have 9 grams of sugar per 8 ounces because it has a little bit of sugar in it, but it has stevia in it.
Stevia.
It's good.
Yeah, they're starting to sweeten more products now with stevia, so because they're finding out,
And the vitamin shop has it too.
Oh yeah, you can find stevia in the vitamin, in the natural food stores, in the vitamin shops, in the vitamin aisles, in a lot of the regular stores, and also with the sugar. So stevia is a good substitute for sugar. When you're looking at food labels, you want to look at the ingredient list as well. So when you're looking at something and you see this whole long list of ingredients, which with a lot of our foods we can pick up the box or whatever and we can look at it, and half of it we can't pronounce, half of it, is in parentheses and this and that and this and that, and so you want to look at those ingredients. You want to look for, they're categorized by weight, or by how much is in them, by the amount that's in them. So the first amount, or the first ingredient listed is the most abundant in that product, and then it goes down from there. What's that?
It's usually sugar.
And a lot of products, the first 3 ingredients, if it has sugar in it, we want to get rid of it. So you want to look at those ingredients. Look for words like whole. If you're eating, grain products, you want it to say whole wheat, not the, enriched and fortified and blah, blah, blah. You want to look for like those 100% whole wheat products. And if you look on those food labels, one thing that people always ask me, well, what's the difference in the breads? Because whole wheat bread has the exact same food label as the white bread, and natural peanut butter has the same calories and everything as the regular peanut butter. So what's the difference? But it comes down to the ingredients and how those ingredients break down in your body. So with the ingredients, with the whole wheat products and everything, without the glycemic index, or how it affects your insulin levels and how your body breaks it down. It's going to break it down slower. It's going to give you more nutrients. It's going to give you more fiber, which is going to sustain you for longer, making you feel fuller longer, and you're not going to get those insulin spikes where you're going to start craving those sugary foods. So it's a matter of how the ingredients break down in your body, not necessarily the numbers on the calories. So when you're, when you're looking at your food labels, and I'll have to admit, it does take much longer shopping when you're looking at food labels, but after after a little while, you get used to it and you start learning, what you like and what you don't like and what to look for, and you can easily pick it up and say, okay, this, and this, perfect, I want it, or, sugar, 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 don't want it, that kind of thing. So really look on the ingredient list and look at, what you're actually eating. And if it's a long, long list, and if it's a list of things that you can't even pronounce, most likely you want to get rid of it. So I encourage you guys to go, when we're done this, go home and look at the foods in your pantry or in your cabinets or wherever you keep your foods, and just kind of check them out and see what are we really eating. And look at the protein content, look at the carb content. Start looking at food labels and really trying to read these food labels. Does anyone have questions?
I'm nervous to look at the healthy stuff I have now.
Because a lot of stuff that we think is healthy can really kind of...
Well, there's Uncle Ben's rice that has like 150 grams of sodium in it. That was my one thing.
Do you have the brown and wild?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tried all the ones that are brown, and there's a few of them that are higher.
Yeah, because a lot of times with the flavored things like the wild rice and a lot of those little flavored ones aren't necessarily higher in fat or anything, but they do add a lot of the sodium. If you're a ramen noodle fan, those are high in sodium.
Don't eat those.
Those are
Isn't that mostly the packet though?
Yeah, well,
You
that's
don't use
the
the
packet.
Yeah,
that's what
the seasonings and sauces and that kind of stuff. That's where a lot of your sodium comes from. So, speaking of sauces, condiments are where a lot of people have issues when it comes to eating healthy, because one of the first foods that you think of when you start eating healthy is what? Salad. That's one of the first things everyone says, okay, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to eat a salad. So salads are great, and salads are great to eat for dinner, because if we're front loading our calories, meaning we're going to eat our heavier carbs, which is how we've been trained to eat, our pastas and our rice and our potatoes and all that for dinner, we're actually going to flip-flop that, and we're going to eat our salads that we normally eat for lunch for dinner, and eat our heavier carbs with the rice and all that kind of stuff for lunch. So that'll really help you to front load your calories, so to speak, use your energy all day long, and then at night when you're winding down a little bit more, or depending on, whatever your schedule looks like, your energy needs kind of go with that. But with the salads, I know people who will make a salad and it's that iceberg lettuce, so it's the white lettuce. White lettuce doesn't have a whole lot of nutrients, it's pretty much water. So when you're going for the salads, go for the dark green leafy vegetables. The spinach and the spring mixes, those kind of vegetables that have, more antioxidants in it and more vitamins and more minerals and all that good stuff. And then for your dressings, try to avoid all the thick, creamy dressings, the ranch, the French. Caesar's scary, I know, right? Caesar's scary. Those are loaded with calories, loaded with fat, a lot of those dressings. They have different kinds of dressings that, are low-fat options. And when you get the salad dressing, if you're really craving that, dip it in rather than pouring it on or having them pour it on. Because when they pour it on, they will pour it on. So always get it on the side if you're going to do it.
Dip your fork and then get your salad.
Exactly.
You use hardly anything.
And you still get the flavor. That's a great trick. Because even if you dip your your lettuce in there, you're still getting a lot more. So dipping your fork in there is a perfect date. But for salad dressing, I use balsamic vinegar. And if you put fruit on your salad, I love putting grapes and strawberries on my salad.
Pineapples.
Putting balsamic vinegar on that just brings out the sweetness too. So if you like sweet things like I do, that's a great tip. But fruit on your salad can even be, the alternative for salad dressing.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to say pineapple. I forgot. I used to do that. Pineapple and pineapple juice. It was really good.
Yeah, and if you get pineapple in its own juice,
Yeah.
They have the canned pineapples and heavy syrup and all that. So you want to, And ginger, there's lots of different.
Ginger.
Ginger.
If you like creamy yogurt, it could be a good substitute.
Exactly,
for salad.
yogurt and if you can stand the texture of cottage cheese, that works too. But yogurt's a great alternative for that. My favorite condiments are salsa and mustard. I mix everything with salsa and mustard. Now I'm on a little honey mustard kick. But salsa can make anything taste wonderful. So I always do the salsa and spicy brown mustard. Brown rice is bland, and a lot of people are like, all right, you know, what do you do with brown rice? It's disgusting. So put sauce on it. Cures everything. So salsa and rice are amazing together. And, you know, we can spend lots of time sharing recipes, and, you know, we might do that one night for one of our group meetings, is just share recipes and, you know, different ideas and tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, you know, there's a ton of stuff that we can cover nutrition-wise, but if you're interested, Pat's team last night just did a private nutrition group counseling session or whatever, and that was really fun. So if your group wants to do that, we can sit down and talk more about that and find out your specific needs and your specific wants and, you know, what you're struggling with and all that kind of stuff, and just get, you know, really dive into it and see where our issues are. Because a lot of times, you know, for instance, one of my sisters was eating all healthy foods. She was eating lots of great healthy foods. But, you know, I said, okay, well, write down for me when you're eating what and what time and everything. And as soon as she did that, she was eating great food choices, or making great food choices. But as soon as I looked at the timing of what she's eating, that was what was holding her back. So, again, we're, you know, trying to help your body work for you instead of against you.
I'm sorry, when you eat oatmeal, do you put fruit in?
Do I put what?
Fruit.
Fruit, you can. I mean, if you like it. One of my favorite ways to eat oatmeal, instead of getting the apple cinnamon oatmeal that's already prepackaged, I just get the big tubs of oatmeal because it's cheaper for one.
Yeah, that's what I use.
Yeah, and I'm always for saving money, like I was saying earlier. And then I just do half a cup of oats, 1 cup of water, put cinnamon in there, and I chop up half of an apple or whatever. I chop it up real small and put it in there, and then I just stick it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and it's perfect every time. I put some stevia in there
Another
too.
good way I love to do oatmeal is apple and fresh cranberries.
Mm-hmm.
And cranberries last a long time in the freezer too. So if
Yeah.
you buy them at Thanksgiving, you can keep them a long time. But you put some walnuts.
Yeah.
Mm.
And those are great,
good.
that's a great balanced meal right there. You've got your
And when you
healthy
add the
fats.
cranberries, it gives you that tartness, which kind of distracts you from the fact that you're sweetening with fruit and not anything else.
Mhm.
You know.
And that's probably less calories than those packets. Probably.
Yeah, because a lot of the flavored oatmeals you'll find are much higher in sugar, and you'll see that I was noticing this. If you look in like cereals and everything with your blueberries, a lot of them aren't actually blueberries. A lot of them, like a lot of those cereals with the fruit in it already, they tend to kind of put fake fruit in there, which is basically just sugar. So when you're looking at those cereals that, oh, these are great, they have strawberries in there, or they have blueberries, so I don't even have to get my own. But then you really look at the fruit and you're like, okay, well, what is this? And, you know, you look at the back of the ingredients, and sugar's right up there, the first ingredient, and they don't actually say, you know, whole blueberries. They say, you know, funny words to trick you to make you think they're blueberries.
I had blueberries on sale, and I bought 2 boxes of them, and I wash all my fruit before I do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I washed them, and let them dry, and I put them in the freezer. So when I want my cereal, my Cheerios, I put some frozen blueberries on it.
That's perfect.
It is so good because it makes the milk ice cold.
Yeah, I always put ice in my cereal, so I love
Yeah.
putting the frozen fruit in there, because then it kind of thaws it out anyway,
Right.
but it makes it cold.
Yes,
So
very good.
those are good. Frozen grapes are really good too. So.
Yes.
Anyone likes grapes, pop those in the freezer. Those are really good. So, any more questions?
Can you give some examples of, I mean, I have some in mind, but I want to hear from you. Under carbs, looking under reading food labels, caloric content carbs, you have good/bad carbs.
Okay.
Can you elaborate on good carbs versus bad carbs?
The good carbs are more the complex carbs. They are the whole grains, the whole oats, like you'll find the 100% whole wheat products, the grains, the quinoa, the couscous, like all those grain products are good carbs. Those are complex carbs that will break down slower in your body and digest slower. They're much higher in fiber. The bad carbs are those sugary carbs. You'll find, ice cream's got a lot of carbs in it because it's higher in sugar. The white breads, the white pastas, all those kind of, the white flour tortillas and this and that, and, the snacks.
White potatoes.
Those, depending on, you don't have to cut out white potatoes altogether, but if you're eating them earlier in the day without putting all the butter and everything, but they do spike your insulin higher than sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are a better choice because they break down much slower and they're much higher in, the fiber content, and they're naturally sweeter anyway, so I love sweet potatoes.
What's the deal with red potatoes, like the red ones?
Red potatoes they don't have as high of a glycemic index as a regular potato, so those are even better to eat. So I like red potatoes. What I do with those, I mash up red potatoes and I put some parsley in there, and I put some garlic powder instead of garlic salt, and a little bit of I can't believe it's not butter, and you've got these garlic mashed potatoes that taste amazing. So, but yeah, a lot of those junk foods, a lot of those, classic sugary cereals and that kind of stuff, are those bad carbs that we want to avoid.
Potato chips.
Yeah. Right. So finding healthy alternatives to, if you're craving those foods, just limit them for one, and then try and find those healthier alternatives to go with that. Fruits and veggies are a source of carbs, but those are good carbs because they're very nutrient dense. They've got lots of vitamins, lots of minerals that are going to help you. And yes, the fruits are higher in sugar, but they're so, nutrient dense that they're offering you so much more nutrition than, a candy bar that's loaded with sugar, because it breaks down in your body differently. But with that said, with the fruits being higher in sugar, it's better to eat those earlier on in the day than later at night, so that your body, can digest it, gives you the energy throughout the day, and doesn't, spike your insulin and all that at night.
So what is it that you should eat earlier?
The complex carbs in the fruit.
Even fruit.
Yeah, because the fruit is higher in sugar.
Okay.
So what can you eat at nighttime? Salad? Like no, I'm just saying, because I was kind of eating fruit at nighttime.
Looking for foods that, and I mean, when you're doing that, just look for foods that are lower on the sugar content and lower on the glycemic index. So I know. My favorite things to eat at night are, higher in fats, higher in proteins.
Like peanut butter.
Yes, I love peanut butter. So my favorite last meal of the day, I eat an egg white omelet. I use 6 egg whites. I saute peppers and onions, and I throw some green beans in there because I like the crunch. So I do that, and then I pour my egg whites over it. Egg whites are a great high-quality protein source. You get the fat and the cholesterol from the yolk in the egg, so that's why I just separate it and I just use the egg whites. So I've got my egg white omelet. I don't even fold it over. I just keep it nice and big, like the shape of the pan, so I feel like I'm eating more. I trick myself in that way. And then I have, a serving of peanut butter, and I'll just eat it right off the spoon because I love it. But, whatever floats your boat. Almonds are great to eat at night, and, if you're watching TV, a lot of us like to pick. And that's my thing with movies is, movies can be very dangerous because that's why they give us these huge tubs of popcorn when we go to the movies, because we like to just sit there and pick and pick and pick. So, eating air pop popcorn without the butter, you can do that, or you can do almonds are great to pick on. Baby food. I think I told some of you guys before that was my new thing. I got I was working in a daycare, and they have these little snacks called puffs. And you can eat 90 of them for like 20 calories or whatever in their baby food. And I was, feeding one to the baby, and I would eat one. I'm like, man, these are good. So if I'm doing something where I know I'm just gonna want to pick, I'll go get a jar of puffs, and they taste good. They have peach.
And cheddar.
Puffs are good.
They have them in cheddar too. I've had the cheddar ones. They're not bad.
See, everyone eats puffs.
Yeah, I thought you were going to be like real baby food, but I was like, okay, I've had that.
Yeah, you can get Babies R Us. They have them in the normal grocery stores in the baby food aisle. That's where I get them.
What do they look like?
I'm not gonna lie, the Babies R Us brand isn't my favorite. Get the actual puffs.
I mean, what
Those
are
flavor.
They're like-
they're just little shapes. They can be little stars or just little.
And it's almost
round.
like it dissolves once it hits your tongue, kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's like almost nothing.
Because
You're
they're
eating
for the babies, 'cause
something.
you put it in, and they have graduate ones which are a little bit more crunchy, or if they're for the babies, they'll just kind of melt in your mouth. So you can get your 90 there, feel like you're eating a lot, and just make it a goal to eat one at a time. So it's teaching yourself self-discipline, and you're pretty much eating nothing because you're going to burn the 25 calories before you're done eating the 90 puffs anyway. So it works out.
ingredients?
Honestly,
I never even checked.
depends. I checked it. I always check every ingredient, but I can't tell you off the top of my head. But I've eaten them, so I know it's not like. I know it's not the junk, and I got the organic puffs from. So they came in a 3-pack. They have banana and peach and apple cinnamon. That's my favorite 3-pack. So I recommend
Where'd
those.
you find the organic ones that?
I've gotten them a few different times. I had them once at Babies R Us when I was shopping for my nephew, and I got them once at, I think, Acme or some grocery store. So they've got them pretty.
Would you put potato rolls in the same category as white flour rolls, bread?
Yeah, and they actually have 100% whole wheat potato rolls I've seen.
Does it taste the same?
So I haven't tasted
Had
them,
'em?
but
Potato bread's awesome.
they do have those. And again, with those, I would aim to eat those, even if you're getting the 100% whole wheat potato rolls, just strive to eat those earlier on in the day when you're more active, when you're moving around more. And like I said, there's no set time to cut off your eating and to cut off your carbs. It all just varies and depends on your lifestyle. So you've got to be the judge of that. Look at your results. Look at how you're doing. If you're doing really well eating and you're eating this time, and you're seeing great results, then go for it. Keep that up. But if you are working your butt off and you're eating this at this time and this, and you're not getting the results that you want, then it's time to sit down and say, okay, what can I change here? What am I doing wrong? And I'm always here, call me up and say, hey, let's sit down and do a nutritional counseling session, and let's figure out what's going wrong here with my diet. So I recommend journaling so that you can see, write your weight down each week, 1 day a week. Write your weight down and write down everything that you're eating and the times that you're eating them. And then you can see a pattern. If your weight's going down and you're happy with your progress, keep it up. If not, you can see, okay, this day I did this day I did this week I lost, this week I didn't. So it's a great indicator. Do you have a question? Yeah.
Yes. I just wanted to say as a word of encouragement, I've had 2 specific instances in the past 2 weeks where I've been out away from home and I needed to buy something to eat, like at a convenience store, and I was able to find something really healthy, and I was thrilled. It was like such a God thing. But
Nice.
I think it's more available now. You just have to look for it.
Wawa.
And once was at Wawa yesterday, actually, and they have Greek yogurt in the single serving containers, and I was excited to find that.
Yeah.
And the other one, believe it or not, was at BJ's. I was starving. I had to stop on the way home. I'd been gone for hours and hours, and it was getting late. I didn't want to eat too late, so I didn't want to wait till I got home. And I went to get popcorn, but they don't sell popcorn anymore. But what they had right there was the naked fruit smoothies.
Oh, yeah.
And they had these little rice crisp things that I read the label, and they were good. And so I think it's there more, it's available more.
It definitely is.
Look
And
for it.
yeah, when you get in those emergency situations, first of all, it's always good to have food on hand. I always carry my little tuna creations packs on hand. But find your little emergency food that you can keep in your car or in your purse. But if you get in a situation where you have to stop somewhere and you just need food, there's so many alternatives to stopping at those fast food restaurants. If you stop at, a gas station or a convenience store, something like that, or even a supermarket rather than just giving in and stopping at a fast food place, you can get something just as quick but much, much healthier. So they're definitely out there. Just looking for them and reading the food labels is really crucial.
I had a question. She mentioned Greek yogurt. Is that better than like regular plain yogurt? Does it taste better, or nutritionally it's better?
Nutritionally, it's much better because it's much higher in protein. In a serving of Greek yogurt, you're going to get 20 grams of protein, whereas the regular yogurt you might get 5 or 6 grams of protein. And a lot of the regular yogurts that are flavored are much higher in sugar, The Greek yogurts, they have them plain, but they also have them fruit flavored. And just looking at the ingredients, make sure that, you know, sugar is not one of the first ingredients, and they sweeten it with the real fruit, or they, you know, they put the fruit in the yogurt, but you can also get the plain yogurt and put your own fruit in there. So
it is a different taste though, like
the plain yogurt does.
Well, no, just the Greek yogurt. That's the texture, because I started eating it and it's I'm okay with it now. But at first I was like, my mom was like, oh my god, your face like looks. I was like, oh my god,
it's different.
It's totally different.
Very, very
exactly. Yeah, it's a texture thing. And one thing that I've learned, I was the pickiest eater in every wrong way that you could possibly think before I started on my little, you know, healthy journey. But now I'm the complete opposite. But when I was transitioning, I couldn't just say, okay, I'm going to cut regular yogurt and eat Greek yogurt, or cut, you know, white bread, and my biggest thing was milk. I couldn't cut my whole milk that I drank and go right to skim milk. So you have to kind of wean yourself off. Maybe, you know, maybe you don't eat your regular yogurt for a week and then you eat, you know, your Greek yogurt, and it's not so different. You know, if you just eat regular and then you eat Greek, then it's like, okay, I see the big difference there. But weaning yourself off, like with the milk, I would do half whole milk and then half 2% milk. 2% was a huge step for me. So then I got to where I was able to just drink 2%, and then I did the same thing with the skim milk. So just, you know, weaning yourself off of those unhealthy foods that we all love, the fat, you know, the full fat creamers, that can be very dangerous. Depending, you know, coffee's not bad for you, but if you load it with all the sugar and with all the creamer that we tend to do, then it gets iffy. But, you know, with that, you know, just weaning yourself off of the bad into the good, easing your way into it. And just remember, give it a second try if you don't like it. Give it a third try. You know, just, you can train yourself those healthy habits. So just as we've trained ourselves to like the bad stuff, we can train ourselves to, you know, like the good stuff. It might take a little bit longer, but it can definitely be done. What are we drinking in there?
Yeah, she's like, I better not smell any French vanilla. I'm like, oh. When I see her in the morning.
Well, if you guys have any more questions, or if you know, want to get together with your group or sit down with me personally or anything, just let me know. My contact information's on there, and hope this was helpful to all you guys. So,
Thank you.
thank you very much.